I'm Dave Wescott, CEO of Evergreen Brands, TransBlue, Condo Shield, many other endeavors as I take this entrepreneurial journey. And what we're talking about is the entrepreneurial journey. And this is something that I absolutely love. It's something that I'm absolutely passionate about. And I'm going to talk about a topic today that is going to make some people uncomfortable. I'm going to talk about a topic today that is going to get some disagreement. But it's something that I think about, and it's something that I watch, and it's something that I observe, and it's something that I see amongst top leaders. And today, I'm going to talk about the effects of alcohol and business. And I'm big on LinkedIn all the time. I'm posting every single day on LinkedIn, and I'm always working LinkedIn. And I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn. Hey, 14 years sober, 10 years sober, 3 months sober. My life changed. This is who I was before. I talk to a lot of executives who say, "Man, I had to quit drinking. It was killing my business. It just, was tough on me, and it was tough on the brand, and it was tough on where we're at." And I know this is going to be unpopular because I know a lot of people like to have a glass of wine or like to have a cocktail after work or, like to have a drink to relax. But I'm a believer in not drinking. This is one of the things that I believe heavily. So I don't ever have a sip of alcohol. I don't ever drink. It doesn't matter if I'm going to go out and meet with clients and so forth. They can have all the cocktails they want. They can have all the drinks they want. They can do whatever. It doesn't bother me. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for them. I'm not saying it's wrong for anybody. To each their own. But I think that the effect of alcohol on business affects business owners in several different ways. And so I'm a proponent of being a non-drinker. And I know that that's going to ruffle some feathers. I know that some people are going to say, "Hey man, listen, I don't have any problem with it. I don't have any issue with it. I don't have any bother to it in my business." But let me tell you what, I watch people, I observe people, I see business owners. I have opportunities to interact with business owners on major levels. And I'm a part of networking groups. I'm a part of peer groups. I'm a part of groups where guys are doing several hundred million in revenue, and I'm a part of groups with guys doing $1 million in revenue. And I watch all across the board about how they tackle problems, how they face problems, how they handle themselves. And what I notice is that the heavier drinkers seem to have the biggest problems. So I'll take you back many years here. I have to take you back about 14 years. Because I like to drink. I think that's that's not something that I grew up not liking. And so I'm going to take you back, and I can take you back to my business when I had a tough time and when my business wasn't going great. And, for those of you who have been in business for a long period of time, you know of the years of 2008, 2009, the economic downturn that we went through. And I watched a lot of businesses go out of business. I watched a lot of my friends who were in business going out of business. I watched a lot of peers go out of business. And when times got tough, when business got tough, when the bills started mounting up, when the jobs stopped coming in, if I went and had a couple of cocktails, it made it not so bad. It took the edge off. When I had a couple of drinks, I wouldn't have to think about what was happening at work. And when I didn't have to think about what was going on at work, I felt better about myself. I felt better about my life. I felt better about everything because I was oblivious. But what happened was it got harder and harder to get up in the morning focused. Oh, I got a little headache. Oh, man, last night was just had a few too many last night, and I get up. And what I found was that drinking made it hard for me to confront issues with my team. Because I might have to have a serious conversation, or I might have to really drive home a point, but you know what? I wasn't feeling up to it. I was feeling a little bit nauseated. I was feeling a little bit under the weather. And so I would push off the conversation. And I had a hard time confronting my team. And some days I would, have a tough day or something would go really wrong, and I'd have a couple cocktails at lunch. No big deal, just take the edge off. And for me, what that led to was a lack of confidence. It actually lessened my confidence. It actually lessened my mental prowess. And I said, you know what, man, this takes away from who I am. It takes away from my power. It holds me back. Because when I'm sharp, when I'm on point, I'm unstoppable. I'm the best version of me. Now, I said, okay, I'm not going to drink as much. I'm just going to have a cocktail on the weekends. I'm just going to relax on the weekends. I'm just going to do my weekend thing. And so during the week, I said, okay, I'm not drinking. And sure enough, I'm more focused at work. I'm doing a little bit better. And then on the weekends, I'm having a few drinks. And a few drinks leads to a few more drinks, and it's just how it kind of goes. So I can remember specifically, I'm sitting on my couch, I'm at my house, it's probably 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and I get a call from a client, top client. At the time, this client, just on reoccurring water leak intrusions, was spending $30,000 a month. Now, to some of you, that may not be a big deal, but we were doing about $1 million worth a year in projects for this client. We were doing tons of landscaping maintenance for this client, so we had lots of business with this client. And I take this call, and I had had a few drinks, and I wasn't drunk, or I wasn't, hammered. I wasn't out of my mind. I wasn't any of that. Just had a few drinks. And I actually think it was like New Year's Eve. Something like that, or some little holiday was happening. And I remember thinking, gosh, man, I'm having a hard time just focusing on this issue, focusing on what this guy's talking about. I'm not fully engaged. One of our core values here is be engaged. I'm not fully engaged in the conversation. And so I'm taking my notes and I'm writing down, okay, now I got to call my team. And I found that I didn't want to call my team because I had been drinking. And so now I had to call my team, and I called them, and they were drinking and they were out. And so I said, hey man, listen, we got to get things going. We got to get the trucks loaded up. We got to get out. We got to go take care of this emergency, 3 floors of, a water heater burst on the 3rd story. It's flooded 3 units all the way down. It's a massive project. We got water intrusion all over the place. Got to go take care of it. And I found myself sitting there thinking, gosh, I don't even want to drive out to the site because I've been drinking. And I said, man, this is not good. This is taking away from my business. This is damaging my business. My girlfriend at the time didn't drink at all, never drank, never had a sip of alcohol her entire life. She's currently my wife. So congratulations to me on that one. But I'm sitting there and she's like, hey, are you coming over? It's gonna, it's New Year's or whatever the holiday was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just got to deal with this work thing real quick. And I also found myself like, oh man, I don't really want her to know I've been drinking. I don't want her to know I've had a couple of drinks. I don't want, so not only did it affect my personal life, it also affected my business life. And that for me was unacceptable. Because if I'm going to be successful, if I'm going to be the best, if I'm going to be a true champion, then I've got to do what's best for me and best for my body. Now, I'll tell you that over that period of time, business got worse. And business got bad. And I ended up having to file a Chapter 11 reformation bankruptcy to rebuild the business. And I can tell you that the weekend before I did that, I had to let 30 people go at one time. And I had to bring them all into my office one by one and let them go. And some people threatened to kill me, and some people started crying, and some people said, thank you for letting me know. And it was this horrible experience. And I just had too much debt. I was too heavy into construction, and I need to reform. And so that weekend was so depressing and so hard that I partied hard. And I can remember, Sunday morning getting up and saying, I'm going to be at the 7-Eleven right at 6 o'clock in the morning because they open at 6 to sell alcohol. And so I'm going to be there. I'm going to get a 24-pack at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I think by 12:30 that night, I had drinking 52 beers that day. I had a few cocktails. I was having a good time. And I like to say, well, that's only like an 18-hour period. So if you think about that, that's only like 3 beers an hour. So I was actually doing pretty good for myself. But at the end of the day, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I had 2 Budweisers that were laying in that bed next to me. And I woke up and cracked the top on one, pounded that bad boy down. And then I opened up the second one, and I drank it halfway down. And I said, God, what are you doing, man? And that was my moment of clarity. And I said, I'm never going to do this again. And I took the rest of that beer and I flushed it down the toilet. And I went in the next morning and I met the lawyer at 7:15 in downtown Seattle, and I filed Chapter Reformation bankruptcy, and I restarted everything that I knew. And I said, when I do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to tithe a portion of my money every single week. I'm going to make sure that I honor that commitment to God. And I'm not going to drink, and I'm going to be focused, and I'm going to be clear-minded, and I'm not going to be clouded. And when things get tough, I'm not going to turn to having a drink. When I have a bad day, I'm not going to have a drink. I'm going to be focused on growing my business. I'm going to be focused on taking my business to the next level. And I can tell you that I feel awesome every single morning. I am ready to rock and roll every single morning. I am up early. I am focused. I am focused on prayer and meditation and working out and building my strength and building my body and taking care of my mind. Because if I don't take care of this, if I don't take care of me, I can't be the best for anybody else. Leaders of men, be careful of what kind of leaders you create. And I love that line and I love that sentence because it's so important, because we are the people in our businesses who set the tone. We are the superstar for our business. So does that mean that I don't miss having a cocktail with the guys on a sales meeting? Sure. Does that mean I don't miss having a glass of wine at dinner with the guys as we're hanging out? Sure. But I know that to be the best version of myself, that's not what I like to do. And there's amazing athletes out there. There is top athletes. And what I found is that top athletes take care of their bodies like nobody else. And I'm a huge boxing fan. I don't know if you can see the screen behind me, but there's probably some boxing pictures back there. Maybe not, I don't know. But I'm a huge boxing fan. And I pretty much watch every fight that comes on. I've been to, many heavyweight world championship fights in Vegas, sat down on the floor, sat close to Shaq and Kobe, and had amazing experiences. Boxed for many years myself as a prize fighter. And I love boxing. And one of my favorite fighters is Floyd Mayweather. Now, you may not like Floyd, Pretty Boy Floyd, Floyd Money Mayweather, whatever. You may not like him. You may not even know who he is. You might think he's a jerk. You might not think he's a good guy. But listen, this guy is an incredible fighter. I think he is the greatest fighter of all time. I think he's a greater fighter than Muhammad Ali. I personally don't think Muhammad Ali was a great fighter. I think Muhammad Ali was an amazing human who did more for the world and more for his people. But as a fighter, he lost too many fights. As a pure fighter, as a human, amazing, great. I'm sure I ruffled some feathers there too. But I believe Floyd is absolutely the greatest. And one thing I know about Floyd 50-0. Floyd beat many, many champions. And one of the things was, I was watching a fight, and Floyd was fighting a guy, and Sugar Shane Mosley. And Sugar Shane Mosley was like 36 years old, and Floyd Mayweather was like 39. And they're talking about this fight, and they're saying, and Floyd just beats the tar out of this guy from round to round. I think he wins every round, or whatever, just annihilates him. And they say Sugar Shane Mosley was over the hill. He was out of his prime. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Sugar Shane Mosley's like 36 years old and Floyd's like 39. Floyd's over the hill. Floyd's 3 years older than this guy, and you're telling me that he's fighting a guy who's past his prime? It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Or we know when Floyd Mayweather annihilates Canelo Alvarez. Right? Canelo, amazing fighter, but didn't hold a candle to Floyd. But here's the thing about Floyd. Floyd never, ever, ever put drugs in his body. He never took a sip of alcohol. He was 100% focused on his craft, day in and day out. Amazing thing about Floyd is he walks around at his fighting weight, which means when he gets into the gym, he doesn't have to try to lose 30 pounds. He's already there. He's already ready to go because he's so focused. And I can share other stories of other athletes, but this call is only 30 minutes long, so I don't want to talk about any more. Doesn't mean Floyd's a great guy. Floyd's had his trouble with the law. Floyd's had his trouble with a lot of different things. But he knows what it takes to be the greatest. He knows what it takes to take care of his body. And so if you're going to be great, if you're going to build a great brand, in my mind, you have to have a clear mind. You have to be able to make clear decisions. You have to be able to forecast and think. And you can't get emotionally carried away with what's in front of you. I know some amazing people. I've worked with some incredible people. And you can always tell when they've had just a little too much to drink. Or they've gone out and they've partied just a little bit too hard. The next day's pretty tough on them. Or you can tell when they're in the office and you hear the I'm just trying to get till noon. And you see it in business, and you see it in business when business doesn't go right. And you see it when things aren't going the right way. And when things aren't going the right way, I believe that's the time to dig in. That's the time to push harder. That's the time to fight harder. That's the time to be more clear-minded. That's the time to be up earlier. That's the time to be more engaged. That's the time to double down. Let's not retreat. Let's not go backwards. Because the more we step into that role, the harder it is to recover. The older we get, the harder it is to recover in the morning. Listen, I only get 168 hours every single week. That's all I get. I'm going to spend 8 hours every night sleeping. I mean, that's gone. I'm going to spend 8 hours at work. I want to be the best I can be every day for my family. But if I'm struggling to make it through the first 2 hours of work till I get rid of my headache, am I the best for my family? Am I the best for me? Am I the best for my employer? Am I the best for my company? Am I living my core values for each other? If I can't confront issues, if I'm a leader and I'm at the table and I can't confront my team, if I can't sit there and have a real conversation with somebody who did something wrong because I can't confront them because I drank too much the night before, what does that say about me as a leader? What does that say about me as a businessman? And so I want to be clear-minded. I want to be so crystallized. I want to be so focused that nothing is going to take me off track. Because we all know that in life we're going to have some pretty big battles. We're going to have some pretty big conversations. And as time gets tough, the further that I watch so many people in business that I know crawl into that bottle. True story, I was reading an article in the Harvard Business Review and it said 49% of businesses in 2021, small businesses, closed their doors. 49%. They said during COVID, alcoholism was up, drug abuse was up, all of those things way, way, way up, right? But those things control our mind. They control our actions. They control our outcomes. And me as a leader, I don't want to be controlled by anything. I don't want to give anything my power. So what are you doing in your life to be the best business owner that you can do? And what I encourage you to do is just, write down a list. Don't take my word for it, but just look at it. And I would say, alcohol and without alcohol. And write down all of the amazing choices that you've made while you were drinking and how they've impacted you. And then write down all of the choices that you've made without alcohol and see how they've impacted you. And I think that when you look at that list and you look at where you are, and you may not like this, because, hey man, we love to get our Coors Light on, our Austin 316 going, right? We love to have a good time. But you think about where you are and where you want to take your business. And like I said, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. I'm not saying it's wrong for anybody. But what I'm saying is that in business, I want to have a clear mind. Even hanging out with, top executives, they have a few too many cocktails. Sometimes they say a few too many things they shouldn't be saying. Or sometimes they spill a few things that maybe they should have kept secret. So as we build our businesses, as we develop our brands, as we build our own brand of crazy, what does your brand stand for? And as the leader of that brand, when the stuff hits the fan, when stuff goes sideways, what kind of leader are you? Listen, I've been both. I've been in both situations. I've had both sides. And I can tell you that not having a drink for like 14 years has been the most amazing thing in my life. I would never go back, Lord willing, and have another drink again. Not that I don't miss the feeling sometimes, but at the end of the day, I got to do what's best for my business and my family. And that means being focused. That means being clear-headed. And I'm big into snow business. That's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week thing. What happens if you go out and have too many drinks? Right? What happens? How does it affect your business? How does it affect your brand? How does it affect your relationship? How does it affect your marriage? How does it affect your communication? How does it affect your kids? So take a deep look at everything you do in your business and everything you do in your life. And what we want to achieve is balance. What we want to achieve is harmony. What we want to achieve is success. And the only things that I want to do in my business, the only things that I want to do in my life are things that lead me to be successful. What would I rather do? Would I rather get 2 more estimates out at night and potentially make more money? Or would I rather go home and have a couple of cocktails? True story is I bring this thing in for a landing. It's like 2017 and I'm just starting this franchise business and we're just starting to sell residential work. And I got to get my feet in the door. And I'm getting tired and it's getting late out. And I think it's 10 o'clock at night. And I said, you know what? I'm going to finish this estimate for David Berger. Because I told David Berger that I would get the job done. And it's like 10 o'clock at night or whatever. And I get rolling and I'm doing the estimate and I don't get done with the estimate till 11:30. But you know what? I told him I would get it over and I send him an email and I say, as promised, here is the proposal for your house. Here is the proposal for your work. I got an email back at 1:30 in the morning. Proposal looks good. Let's pull the trigger. $54,000. Did an incredible job. Made a 50% gross margin on that job. But why was I able to do that? I was able to do that because 1, I made a promise, but 2, I wasn't off focus. I didn't have something that took me off focus. If I had had a couple of cocktails, I would have never finished that bid. I would have never got that bid out. And there's a good chance that that customer would have never bought from me. But I was able to get the bid to him. I kept my word. I did what I said I was going to do. I followed through. How many times have you not got a bid out when you promised a customer you would get a bid out? In fact, I'm working with an electrician right now who promised me a bid by last Friday and I have not seen it, and it's Tuesday. Think about my level of disappointment, my level of dissatisfaction. I've decided I will not work with this company again. And we're talking about $500,000 jobs. So we need to keep our word. And if we're doing anything that takes us away from keeping our word, if we're doing anything that takes us away from executing with our clients and delivering an incredible customer experience, and we're being unbalanced, what happens? It's a failure. And you want to talk about the success of balance. Well, when you win that job at 1:30 in the morning for $54,000, you feel balance, you feel success, you feel happiness, and it's all worth it. Why? You don't feel any burnout. You don't feel stressed. You feel like, yes, I freaking nailed this. And the only way that I can do that is by having my mind focused, my mind clear. Because if I'm trying to do bids and I've had a few too many drinks, guess what? I'm going to transpose some numbers. Something's going to be off and I'm going to lose money. I'm going to hurt my brand. I'm going to hurt my business. So my suggestion is, if you want to build your own brand of crazy, if you want to lead this entrepreneurial journey with incredible success and incredible fortitude, and you want to be an incredible leader, then put down the alcohol. Take that out of your life. Cut that out of your life. That's just my suggestion and my thought. I know it might not make you feel good. I know it might not make you feel comfortable, but I'm about one thing: speaking the truth, being 100% real, being 100% authentic, and that's why I share my journey and my life and my stories and my struggles. I hope this helps. If you liked it, give it a share, give it a like. Follow me on LinkedIn, David Wescott. Check this out, right? All of its greatness. Hook up. I'm going to be on there every day. So like it, share it, follow it. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's do this thing. Let's do it big. Let's be focused. Let's kill it. Let's have amazing balance. Follow me on LinkedIn. Have a great day. See you next week.